I am Trace Sanson. I'll give you a little back on me. I trained at the University of Illinois program in Chicago. Then I had a military payback in the Air Force. So I went down to San Antonio, was in the Air Force for 4 years down there as faculty, and then moved to Florida. And I started out in Florida as a medical director and then was part of the group, my husband being Dr. Kelly O'Keefe, who started the University of South Florida program in Tampa. He's the residency director. I was the education director, but have recently kind of changed some things. And throughout all of this, started coming up with this idea. Have any of you ever had this feeling at all? So here's the big thing. You never get up, in my mind anyway, you never get up to speak to folks unless you plan to change the world. Now I know that's a huge thing to say you're going to do, but how do you change the world? You change the world by changing folks' actions. You change their actions by impacting their beliefs. My goal for us today is to impact your belief on how we should feel at work and who's responsible for that. I cannot tell you how many years I blamed my medical director, my husband, my program director, my chair, my everybody. I want you to leave here believing that we absolutely own whether or not we enjoy going to work every day. Has anybody here ever had that? I mean, for years I tried saying Hail Marys all the way in. They frown if you drink on the way into work. So you had to figure out something that helps. So we're going to walk through that. What we don't want and what we are seeing are those folks that are just saying, that's it. That's it. What I call it the death of the profession. You don't have to raise your hands here, but does anybody else know a phenomenal emergency physician or emergency nurse? Because, you know, we're special, clearly. The rest of the hospital uses other adjectives, but we are very special that work down there. And all of a sudden, one of your best emergency nurses is going to the PACU or recovery room or endo lab. And your best emergency physician is going into weight loss or laser hair removal or something. It's the death of the profession. So how do we get out of that? Well, I think the biggest thing to realize is we have it backwards. So one of the things that I have taken over on this last year has been coaching for physicians, especially those that are maybe having patient satisfaction problems right at the edge of potentially losing a job. We've got patient satisfaction wrong. We have it completely wrong. Here's the problem. We are asking you, remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs? What's at the top? Self-actualization, which is what we're expecting you to do to have perfect patient satisfaction. Everything that Richie was talking about, no information, wrong information, patients that pull every, little trigger you've got, you have to be perfect. When yet, what's at the bottom of that Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Security, safety, food, shelter. One of the emergency departments I was working at recently, they decided they needed to get a super track, and in order to have a super track, they needed a bathroom to collect all the urines. They took our bathroom. To me, a bathroom is right down here with safety, security, and don't you think? I don't want your C. difficile when you come into my ED. We haven't been taking care of ourselves. If we took care of ourselves, took ownership for ourselves, our colleagues, and the environment we're in, patient satisfaction would not be an issue at all. So let's start with, we need more than a salary. We do. We want to belong. We want to count. We want to have, and team becomes kind of one of those words we use so much, but what you really want is a team. When you don't have meaning, it becomes a zone of pettiness. When I go to evaluate an emergency department, I can tell when there are significant issues. All I have to ask is, how's your schedule? When people are bitching about the schedule, there's a problem. That is one of the foundations, because has anybody here else potentially not eaten on a shift? You ever get home, urinate, and say to yourself, I either have hepatitis or a specific gravity of a 1040. So we're not urinating, we're not eating. They take away our bathrooms. We don't have safety and security because CEO can walk in and take your job in a second based on a press ganey.